Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this episode, we're going to explore how slavery began in Mesopotamia and Sumer around 3500 BC with one of the earliest known records of chattel slavery in history. The practice of slavery has existed for thousands of years. It is difficult to imagine a world without it because it has been so widespread throughout human history. But where did it begin? To answer that question, we will travel back in time to 3500 BC to the region of Mesopotamia and Sumer, located in what is today Iraq, Kuwait, and Turkey. For example, in ancient Mesopotamia and Sumer, slavery could also be a temporary condition. There are other clay tablets and pieces of art that depict scenes of slavery in ancient Mesopotamia and Sumer. These sources provide a glimpse into the lives of enslaved people and the conditions under which they lived and worked. Some people became slaves due to their inability to pay off debts, and they could be freed once the debt was repaid. Many of the written records come from the perspective of the slave owners and may not accurately reflect the experiences of the enslaved. Your support helps me to continue sharing these stories and learning more about our shared past. And until next time, happy learning. If you have any thoughts or comments, please feel free to share them below. I would love to hear your perspective. Additionally, a significant portion of enslaved people were likely illiterate, meaning that their voices and perspectives are not represented in the historical record. This form of slavery is known as debt bondage, and it is still prevalent in many parts of the world today. In addition to debt bondage, slavery in ancient Mesopotamia and Sumer could also result from being captured in war. Prisoners of war could be taken as slaves and forced to work for their captors. This was a time when humans first began to write, and with writing came the ability to record the ownership of people. We are going to examine one of the earliest known pieces of evidence for slavery during this period, which comes from a clay tablet inscribed with wedge-shaped writing known as cuneiform. This record allows us to gain insight into how slavery began and what it looked like in ancient times. Enslaved people were considered property and were bought, sold, and traded like any other commodity. The Met has an online collection of ancient Near Eastern art that includes a variety of artifacts related to slavery. You can explore these artifacts and learn more about this topic through the provided resources. They were forced to work long hours in fields or domestic service and were often denied basic rights and freedoms. The use of torture and physical punishment was also common, and the enslavers believed that they had the right to treat their slaves as they saw fit. The origins of slavery are complex, and there is no single agreed-upon answer by historians or scholars. However, it is generally believed that slavery began in Mesopotamia and Sumer around 3500 BC, which is what we will be discussing in this episode. This record comes from a clay tablet that was discovered in the ancient city of Lagash, located in what is today southern Iraq. The tablet dates back to around 3500 BC, and it is written in the Sumerian language. The text on the tablet is a receipt that was given to a man named Enmebarajesi after he had purchased his slaves. The document states that the two individuals who were purchased were a man and a woman, and that they were being acquired as property. The price that was paid for the female slave was 30 pieces of silver, and the male slave cost 25 pieces of silver. At this time, Mesopotamia and Sumer were home to some of the earliest civilizations in the world. As societies grew more complex, so did the ways in which people interacted with each other. And unfortunately, this led to some groups becoming dominant over others. Slavery, as we know it today, merged during this time period, and it would continue to persist for thousands of years. Let us take a look at the beginnings of slavery through the lens of one of the earliest known records of chattel slavery in history. It is important to note that slavery at this time was not the same as it would become in later periods. While the Lagash receipt is one of the earliest known records of slavery, it is not the only one. One of the challenges in studying slavery in ancient Mesopotamia and Sumer is that much of the evidence is often biased or incomplete. Despite these challenges, the available evidence paints a picture of a system of slavery that was brutal and dehumanizing. To learn more about slavery in ancient Mesopotamia and Sumer, I encourage you to visit the Metropolitan Museum of Art's website. Thank you for joining me on this episode. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Remember to stay tuned for new episodes.